We're back. Hi, I'm Linda Deir. And today, Saturdays, you guys, when I read from my books, chapters from my books. Last Saturday, I read to you from chapter 22 of my true life story, Guided. Her spirit guide angels were her best friends and life coaches. I read about the consequences of financial freedom. After the trip to Japan, my total concentration was on staying the course. I knew it would be challenging, but I had to follow through on everything my guides had directed me to handle, like the business, the marriage, and the personal changes that were long overdue. Today, I will be reading to you from chapter 23 of Guided. Guided, you guys. My wings are no longer wet. I can fly now. You're going to see what that means. By the way, Guided is one of 5 books that I've written so far. This is the flagship book, the award-winning, best-selling book on Amazon, available in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook format, and I read the book myself. All right, it's really good. Okay, chapter 23. My wings are no longer wet. I can fly now. I returned from South America, ready to jump back into things. So when one of my old real estate clients called me, pretty much begging for me to list her house for sale, I agreed. Her house had been on the market for over a year, and she had no offers. I listed it, and in less than 30 days, had an offer that she accepted. Then I got a message from my guides that the next property I would be selling would be my place. That had not even been on my radar, so it came as a total surprise. I had been thinking about taking a month to travel to Europe, and my guides told me that I needed to go soon or I wouldn't be able to go at all. This time, they didn't say why. My client's house closed escrow in June of 2001. My guides gave me a repeat message that time for my European trip was running out. I wasn't at all ready to go, so I took it off my calendar. When I made that decision, my guides told me I would eventually go to Europe with my husband. Husband? I figured that trip was off in the future, way off. In July, I started writing content for the Channeled Readings website, the project I had been putting on hold for over a decade. Whatever had been holding me back, my ill health, and lack of energy and healing my life was no longer blocking my way. The project was my passion, helping people through the challenging times I knew were coming based on what my guides had been showing me my entire life, which is what Guided really talks about. It's a prophetic book about what's going on as it comes into the world that we find ourselves in now. I knew everything about the channeling process and the reliability of the channeled information. I put my condo on the market and it sold in 1 week, the first week of September. While I was very happy about the sale, on September 10th of 2001, I found myself sobbing all day. I was overcome with an incredible feeling of sadness that I could not shake. I felt like a pressure cooker as the feeling intensified inside me. I was baffled because that was just not like me. That evening, a friend called and I blurted out something bad was going to happen. I said the absurdity would be that it would happen on a day with the most beautiful weather and blue skies. The next morning, September 11th, 2001, I woke up to the reports of the first twin tower in New York being hit. I watched the second one get hit in horror as smoke billowed up into the crisp blue skies. With that terrible event behind us, I closed escrow on my Sedona condo and left town. I put Sedona behind me and became a wanderer. I went to Colorado for 3 months, then to Montana for 3 months. I wound up in Sun Valley, Idaho for the summer of 2002. I loved Sun Valley. I would go ice skating twice a day and salsa dancing at Bruce Willis's nightclub, The Mint, at night in Haley, Montana. Idaho, Haley, Idaho. I took Tai Chi classes and got massages. It was a great summer. I continued to write the content for the website pretty much all along. I had been doing readings with my talking board for clients over the phone, and the channeling partner I had been working with stayed at my place in Sun Valley, where she got a job in a retail shop selling high-end clothing. In a private channeling session, Steve's mom, my ex-mother-in-law, came through. I had not spoken to her in 4 years, and I thought she was fine. Imagine my surprise when I heard, "Linda's mother would like to speak with you, Linda." And I said, "Okay, come on through, Mom." Steve's mom, "Hello, honey. I never understood what you were doing with this work. Now I see so many things so much clearer. I also want to thank you for trying to help my Stephen to grow up. I am so happy that you saw the entire picture. You have great days ahead because of your knowledge and preparations. I willed myself not to be part of your days of doom." Of course, I did not have that realization until I was released from my body. You need to know that Stephen was wonderful to me before I passed. The other medium I was working with asked my ex-mother-in-law, "Were your boys as good as Steve in being there for you at the end?" Steve's mom replied, "They did not have the insight because they were not exposed to the other side of life as Steve was. Thank you, Linda, for your help." And then I said, "You feel great, Mom." And she replied, "Yes, young and well. I am no expert at what it takes to do what you are both doing. However, Linda, on your resume, you should mention talking to us on the other side as one of your areas of expertise. Many do not understand what is meant by the intuitive psychic medium's guides from beyond. I didn't, but everyone understands what it means when you say those from the other side. Honey, I also want to say I did not believe in life after death. My ex-mother-in-law was Jewish, traditionally Jewish. Now I know I was your mother in another European lifetime. With your abilities on this board of communication, you can also read past lives for others. I was surprised to learn of Steve's mom's death, but I was not surprised at the contact from her. We always had deep affection for each other, and her explanation sure made sense to me. Lesson. It's interesting to see how clear people become when they get to the other side. It happens instantly. The illusions are completely released, and they see everything for exactly for what it is. Too bad they didn't make that connection with their guides while they were still here. They could have lived a more satisfying life. While I was in Idaho, I spoke to Cindy. She was about to graduate from college, and I wanted to attend her graduation. She told me not to come because my mother would be there. I didn't push it, and she went to the graduation saying she got a degree in computer science. As I neared completion of the writing for my website, I asked her about building the site. She agreed. So I paid her a retainer to start and bought her the Apple computer she said she would need for the job. Once I did all that, she promptly handed the job off to a web design company. Frustrated, I asked her why she did that. And her justification was that she had done her part. That was the last straw for me. I had tried to help her time and time again, and she just continued to set me up for her next score. I considered staying in Sun Valley, but I wasn't finding the people there that I felt I needed to build my website. After a lot of thought, I moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, where I knew I could find the talent to get the work done. The writing was finished, and my channeling partner wanted to leave Idaho before the winter hit. So off we went back to Arizona, a bit less than a year after leaving Sedona. Just before leaving Sun Valley, I started feeling a wedding ring on my left hand. Oh my gosh. I was rubbing my thumb against the wedding finger like a ring was already there. I knew something was up, and it was not far off. Tip: watch how your guides send you signals. Pay attention because they are always doing it and are spot on. Again, time has no relevance to them, but the signals are always clear. Many times you will get the answers long before the occurrences. That's what happened here with that ring. When this happens, these are called predictions. So I was getting the insight that something was coming up down the road, predicting that marriage was in my future, all right? Once I returned to Arizona, my channeling partner started behaving strangely, acting arrogant and being rude to my reading clients. I let it ride until one day on the talking board, my guides came through and told me to get a new channeling partner. They fired her right then and there. She looked at me like it was my fault and asked me, what was that all about? I told her she knew as well as I did that I have no control over what the guides are going to say, whether they're talking to me or anyone else. They just say it like they see it. I had more clients scheduled for readings and couldn't replace her right away, so we continued to work together. It was about a week later when my guides came back through and told me they were sending me a new channeling partner. And he would show up in 2 weeks. My current channeling partner was gone in 3 days and I never saw her again. Is this amazing, you guys? It's amazing when you have this connection with your guides. Awareness. Your guides know everything, but they are not always permitted to tell you everything they know. They will not interfere with who it is you are becoming as you gain new experiences. They have a real challenging job, don't they? 2 weeks later, I was referred by one of my longtime channeling clients to a fellow who did web design and video production for her. Once the designer saw how I did this work, he immediately became intrigued and wanted to learn. I started teaching him how to use the talking board with me. I was training him to be my next channeling partner. Perfect timing. Thanks again to my guides. My new channeling partner, Evan, was working out well so far. I continued to build out the website and create the videos. We went to the LA Expo and met a marketing agent who worked with people doing something called remote viewing, seeing things in places far away. He loved our work of channeling people's spirit guides on the talking board. Shortly after our meeting, he booked me for an event in Scottsdale. It was marketed well and was quite a success. This fellow told me to write a book about spirit guides and do it immediately, but I wasn't ready. Soon after that event, Evan, whom I had hopes for, started doing the same things as my previous partners had done, trying to dominate, becoming argumentative, needing to be right, everything that conflicts with the quality of the channeled information. As a result, I told the agent I would not be doing any more events. Being dependent on another person was an ongoing problem. It was the weak link in my business model and life. I proceeded to focus on getting the website and videos done so I could go my own way. In May 2003, I stopped for a latte at a Starbucks in a town called Cave Creek, Arizona. As fate would have it, one of the customers there was someone who had called me 2 years earlier, just before my South American trip, asking me to design a home for his parents in Sedona. Since I couldn't do it then, I forgot about it. But there he was, and he recognized my name from that one time we talked on the phone. We chatted, and then we met again about a month later. We started dating and going to Sedona on the weekends, where I kept bumping into people I had known. They asked me to come back, and I found myself pulled to return. On my trips to Sedona, I started casually looking at houses. I still didn't know what my plans were, but it was interesting to see what the market was doing. One afternoon, I had a dream that woke me up. It was my guides telling me to make an offer on the home I had just seen and do it right now. So I got up and called the broker to let him know I would be making an offer. He said he just got 2 other offers on the same property, and mine would be the third. One offer was higher than mine, another lower. From a logical point of view, it would make sense for the sellers to accept the highest offer. But I was following the direction from my guides, so as far as I was concerned, anything could happen. I waited to hear back, and the next day the broker called. He sounded a little surprised when he told me that they accepted my offer. I wasn't particularly surprised because I figured my guides would not have suggested I make an offer if there hadn't been a chance I would get the house. I closed escrow in November, 2 years to the month after I had sold my other place in Sedona, not expecting to ever return. Awareness. You just have to create enough room in your life to move through the motions, and you will be directed precisely to the right events and the right people at just the right time. You can't chase it. You are always guided. All you need to do is show up, pay attention, take action. After buying the house, I became consumed with remodeling. I had no time for anything else, including dating. So the relationship with the guy who was responsible for my returning to Sedona ended. I finished the remodeling and moved in at the end of January 2004. My new place became the house of music. I installed a state-of-the-art sound system that played throughout the inside and outside. I loved it. This was the first time I made music the focus of a place I had built. Everything had his and hers arrangements, even in the office space. I wasn't sure why I did that because I wasn't even seeing anyone, but it felt right. And like always, I went with it. I had left all my possessions in Sun Valley because that was where I intended to end up living. So I returned there, got my things out of storage, and drove them back to Sedona. I spent the next month finishing up the loose ends on my new place and moving in. I didn't know what the future held for me in Sedona, but I had a strong feeling from my guides that I was in the it was the correct place for me to be at that time. About a month after I moved in, I was in my hot tub and I had a very strong sensual feeling. It was as if a passionate man was near me, in my energy field. Even though no one was physically present, it was time. You guys, next week, chapter 24, part 4, the beginning of part 4. The beginning of part 4, Ray, is that your favorite part?
Part 4 is my favorite part because that's the part where you meet me and live happily ever
Ooh,
after.
don't tell. Okay. But there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens along the way that's
it's
crazy.
really
Okay. It actually makes sense. It wraps Guided up really well about how it all comes together is crazy. All right. So speaking of crazy, next Saturday, October 24th at 1 p.m. Pacific time, you can watch this live on Linda's Facebook timeline, Facebook page, and YouTube channel. Use the search term Linda Deir. I will read to you from chapter 24 of Guided. Their signals and signs materialize. It was February 28th, 2004, and snowing in Sedona. I was planning to drive up to Flagstaff to go ice skating, but Oak Creek Canyon was closed. I was still in the process of moving into my new place, so I went next door to the Raven Heart Coffee Shop to get my favorite large Linda latte. I often went to this place, so all the people knew me there, and I knew them. But as I stood at the pickup counter, I glanced to my right and saw a very handsome man looking at me. I had never seen this guy before. So until then, remember, you have help. You are never alone, and always being